Focus is an action thriller directed by John Requa and focuses on an A-list conman played by Will Smith who takes in a character played by Margot Robbie, and as he teaches her all the tricks and trades of being a conman. Now going into this movie, I didn't know what to expect. The trailer looked good, but it also looks really Hollywood and really overly dramatic and really just one of those movies that you think would be good and just won't pan out. And I like Will Smith. I liked him in Men in Black and I liked him in Hitch. I wasn't so sure how I would like Margot Robbie, as I've only seen her in The Wolf of Wall Street in a supporting role in which she didn't amaze me too much. So for going to this movie not expecting much, I was actually in for a good surprise, as this movie did step up to the plate. Now this movie's really cool because it shows the ins and outs of being a con man and what it takes to take off the perfect con. There's some cool scenes when Will Smith's training Margot Robbie and he's doing all these things. He's taking her watch, he's taking her purse, and he's just doing all these things and showing her how she has to focus, being the title of the movie, and she has to focus to make sure she doesn't get conned while she's doing the cons. Now there's a lot of cool scenes because there's a lot of suspense in them because they're doing very legal things and you never think that they're going to get caught, but there are some scenes where you honestly do think they have a good chance of this being their last con. Now this movie reminds me of Now You See Me. And for those of you who've seen it, you know it was a very clever, action-packed movie, but lacked in the one thing that good movies really should have, and that's, well, the talent. Will Smith played a good role because he was always so calm, cool, and collective as a con man should be, but he never really had to push his boundaries of acting in this role because he was always in control. A lot of people say they liked Margot Robbie in this role, and I really just didn't see it. I think she was a lot of forced acting. I just think it was a lot of awkwardness or being pushed, and I really think that she was just put in this movie because she was a pretty face, and she did supply that, but I don't think she supplied the same dynamic characters we could have seen from this role. Another interesting thing with this movie, and I wouldn't say it's a problem, but I'd say it's interesting and can cause problems, is you have to remember these two people in the movie, Margot Robbie and Will Smith, they are con men. So every time you see something on scene, you can never tell, even through the entire hour and 45 minutes of this movie, you can never tell if they're lying or telling the truth. So for me sitting there in the theater, I always had to suspect that they were lying and they were never telling the truth, which led to some surprises and some very overly predictable situations which I saw coming because they're con men. Very few times do I say a movie was too short. Most often you hear the phrase, this movie was stretched out, it had a lot of blank space, it should have been cut down. Well, I think this movie in particular could have been stretched out a little longer. It had a short runtime, an hour 45 minutes, about an average. An average is normally about 2 hours, but it had an average to short runtime, which I really think they could have stretched the movie out to create a lot of more character development and a lot of more emotion in this relationship between Margot Robbie and Will Smith. This movie had good pacing. Very rarely do I say this scene could have been cut or this is just going on for too long. It's always jam-packed with good, fruitful information for the audience. So for a casual rating, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It really delivered being a fun, intense, very clever movie, but unfortunately, like most movies, was somewhat too predictable. But don't get me wrong, there are some twists and turns that you might see coming, but you don't see them coming in the way that they do, which is awesome, and there's a great time, it's great suspense, and you really will like it if you like movies like this. Unfortunately, as usual, I have to give it a lower critic rating at a 5 out of 10 because it didn't supply the same character development, the same story development, the same acting that I feel other movies of this genre do, and it does lack in these departments, but it does, as I say, make up with being a very clever, tight-wound movie. So overall, I really think this movie is a fun time for you to watch with your friends, family, anybody who likes this kind of movie. If you're not going to like this kind of movie, then don't watch it because you won't like it. So what did you think of Focus? Let us know in the comments below. If you like what you saw, don't forget to smack that like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button and do everything you can to make this channel seem better than it actually is. Follow me on Twitter at Albino Films, Instagram Albino Films, and for any personal questions you might have, contact me at albinofilms365@gmail.com. This has been an approved message from the Raging Albino. See you next time.